So first on the list of the top 5 turtles is the mud turtle. This is a small species of aquatic turtle ranging from 3 to 6 inches, which means that you can keep them in a 40 US gallon aquarium or an 151 litre aquarium. It's the same size, it just depends where you come from basically. And then on the bottom you want something like sand or gravel. You want to feed them things like turtle pellets and blood worms and the occasional insects, things like that. You want different decorations like maybe log hides, aquarium decorations, rocks, branches in the water, cork bark, loads of places for them to hide in between and feel safe. That is the main thing, that they have somewhere to feel safe. Now you want a basking platform. Now this can either be a floating object like a piece of cork bark or something like that, or it can be like I know Zoomid and Exoterra do these basking platforms. So you have 2 suction cups on the side of the glass, and it raises to the water level. And then the reason they want a basking platform is because they need UVA and UVB lighting. So you're going to need something like a heat lamp and a UVB lamp. Something like a 10% UVB, and then maybe like a 50 or 75 watt heat lamp would be good for your mud turtle. They need that because in the wild they'd obviously be basking on the banks or on rocks or branches in like the middle of like rivers or lakes or ponds, anything like that. That's where they'd be found. And then they do live a long time. Turtles generally live a long time, so this is a big commitment, so make sure you do your research. So next on the list of the top 5 turtles is a Diamondback Turtle. Now this is a bigger turtle than the mud turtle, so they're going to need quite a big aquarium, 120 US gallon aquarium or 4 foot or 6 foot long aquarium is like, you want it at least that size because these are fairly big turtles. Now they are really pretty, which is why you keep them swimming around, but you also want to give them hiding areas, so things like driftwood, maybe moponi wood, different places for them to hide underneath rocks. Make sure they're on the bottom though, maybe something like gravel or sand as a substrate. That would be good for these guys. And then feeding them obviously turtle pellets, blood worms, the occasional insects would be good for your Diamondback Turtle. Then they also need a basking platform, but a bigger one because they're a bigger turtle. And then you're going to need more higher output lights. So you need, instead of like a 75 watt light, you need an 100 watt basking bulb, and then still like a 10-12% UVB, and that would be good. It also depends on the distance between the light and your basking platform, so make sure you do your research on that. But Diamondback Turtles are really fun turtles to keep. I've never personally kept them before, but like knowing people that have kept them and just like watching them, they're just amazing. And I think if you do enough research, they can make an amazing pet turtle, and you probably won't regret it as long as you do research and you're keeping it correctly. It will do great for you. So next on the list is the box turtle. Now this looks very much like a tortoise, and they are kept very much like a tortoise. So first of all, they are land turtles, so they aren't aquatic turtles like the last 2 turtles that have been on this list. So you want to keep them on land. So probably at least a 3 foot long enclosure for these guys. 4 foot would be great, but I wouldn't really go shorter than 3 foot long. These are still going to need your heat and your UVB lamps, so you're going to need those. You're going to need to feed it a variety of different things. These are omnivores, so different insects and plant matter and so on. That's what they'll eat. And they're a really cool looking turtle, and like these are turtles, not tortoises. So yes, tortoises. All tortoises are turtles, but these are turtles. The turtle doesn't have to be a water turtle to be a turtle, is what I'm trying to say. So these aren't tortoises, these are turtles. But they're a really cool species, and as long as you keep them correctly, of course, do a lot of research. I've only briefly looked into this just to say a few key points. But yeah, they make excellent pets. Maybe like a moisture substrate, something like Eco Earth or something like that would be a good substrate for them. But yeah, they're just an amazing pet turtle. A lot of people that don't want a tortoise, but they want a turtle, but they can't deal with the all the aquatic and everything, aquariums, filters and heaters and so on. You should get box turtle. So next on the list is the painted turtle. Now these are very close relatives to the red-eared slider, which are banned in the UK from 2016, so you can't get those anymore, which is why these are on the list instead of the red-eared sliders. The reason they are on the list though is because they're a beautiful species of turtle, in my opinion, and you can keep them in a slightly smaller aquarium, something like a 90 gallon, 120 gallon, obviously better, at least a 4 foot I'd say. Kind of the same as the Diamondback Turtle. And then you want places for them to hide in the aquarium, sand or gravel as a substrate, and then you can add like aquarium plants or fake plants or anything like that. Make sure you have a basking platform with the UVA, UVB and heat lamps up top there. You want places for them to hide, turtle food like the pellets and everything, and then bloodworms and insects occasionally. But they're quite an easy turtle to keep as long as you know aquatic turtles that they're going to need the filters and the heaters and everything like that. But if you've kept maybe something like a mud turtle before, then you'd probably get the hang of keeping a painted turtle quite well. So yeah, they're a great species, a great alternative to the Diamondback Turtle. So last on the list is the Musk Turtle, also known as the stink pot turtle. This is basically an alternative to the mud turtle if you prefer the look of them. They're still going to need the UVA and the UVB lighting on a basking platform. Still going to need filters and heaters and turtle pellets and bloodworms and insects occasionally. To feed them, you're going to need sand or gravel as a substrate, places for them to hide. You're going to need something like a 40 US gallon aquarium, that's 151 litres, just about. So they're a really cool species of turtle, just looks a bit different, but it's the same overall care as the mud turtle, so it just depends which one you prefer. They're all pretty much the same, they all get about the same size, 3 to 6 inches. So yeah, that is the last animal on this list. Both mud and musk turtles are quite good beginner turtles. I mean, all of these are quite good beginner turtles, but especially these two species, because they live the shortest, just about, because they are smaller turtles. They live the shortest, just by slightly though, and they're smaller, so it's less maintenance to care and control a massive aquarium than it is for a tiny one, so that's why I recommend these two species for beginners. So if you enjoyed this video on the top 5 turtles, feel free to give it a like, and if you want to go a little bit further, please consider subscribing to my channel for content about reptiles and amphibians, and click that notification bell so you know when my next upload comes out. Also, if you want to say anything, comments, questions, concerns, leave a comment down below, and I guess that's it. I'll see you in my next video.